Hey there. It's been a while since we've done something like this. I think this is gonna be nice. Don't mind the incessant background noise. I am just in my college dorm right now. So, there's a bit of background noise to be had. But yeah, this is gonna be nice. I can talk to you, and you can't directly talk to me because this isn't a live stream. Regardless, though, this is definitely better than just some text on a screen. Now, you know what this video is. You've seen the title and everything. It's pretty epic that we've come so far. I wanted to do one of these with Season 2, but never got the opportunity. So, hopefully in the future, this can be a norm for all of the other seasons as well. But that's getting a bit ahead. For now, it's time to get into the behind the scenes for Five Nights at Freddy's Season 3. At the end of Season 2, Fredbear summons the last of his willpower to summon a wormhole, ripping apart Shadow Freddy and presumably killing the puppet, after which the building fucking explodes. So one question came to my mind. How the fuck do I top this? Well, development for Season 3 began as early as Season 1, although it was only concepts at the start naturally. Eventually, once Season 2 began, I had finalized the idea of it going to FNAF 1, which was, the logical next step. But the introduction of Funtime Foxy early on also made me consider incorporating Sister Location, which begs the question of how would I do this? I couldn't do one or the other, I couldn't prioritize. So eventually I settled on doing both, actually, and making it a split story. This allowed me to focus on smaller groups of characters at a time. When it comes to trying to top Season 2, I really never looked at it like that, as, trying to outdo yourself when it comes to writing can only lead to making a worse story. If you're really trying to outdo yourself, it will make it worse. Maybe not right away, but regardless, I did not want to fall into that trap. And so began the writing process. I sat down and it sort of came to me, like most of my scripts. I knew I wanted the puppet to come back in some form, but I hadn't gotten to the idea of making him Ennard quite yet. In fact, in very, very early drafts that I don't have access to anymore, Ennard would have been a different character entirely, before I decided on him being a new body for the puppet. The inspiration for this particular idea came from Scott Cawthon's first Ennard teaser, namely its primary line, "There's a little bit of me in every body," which also set me up to incorporate the fun times. By the time of Ultimatum, I had decided that the prototypes that the puppet used would become the fun times we all know and love, having been retrofitted by the humans and made into new animatronics. I'll cover some of these characters in more depth in another section, but with the foundations laid out, it was time to write. I began writing the first Season 3 script on June 28th, 2021, so around the midpoint of Season 2. Drafting remained pretty consistent, and most of my story ideas made it into the final releases, with a few changes that I will discuss later in this video. I wanted to make Funtime Foxy a central focus here, further exploring her conflicting emotions following her betrayal of Shadow Freddy. Now that she has some alone time with not much going on, I figured I could finally give her the chance to just think. The same is true for Bonnie, who was also important but not quite as much, as he enters a bit of a depressive state without Funtime Foxy around. I think by now everyone knows where their dynamic is going at this rate, and so it's only a matter of time of waiting for everything to come together. Something that I was looking forward to around this time was bringing back the concept of the Night Guard, something I only briefly worked with in Season 1. Here it gets a bit of an overhaul. And while not the focus, I especially enjoyed the episodes that included the guard and dived into the mystery behind why he's there. Of course, I knew it was about time we did a Springlock sequence, and of course the guard is the perfect candidate. I think you'll find what he does in Season 4 to be very interesting. And of course, there's Fredbear. If Season 2 was about physically avenging the loss of Spring Bonnie, then Season 3 was about overcoming the emotional component. Revenge is ultimately a fruitless endeavor, and I wanted to tackle that, because you can only get so far in this world on anger and bitterness. Eventually, you have to let it go. But of course, there's more to the stories than just the drafting. In addition to Bonnie and Funtime Foxy, there are plenty of other stars in the show. Freddy gets a bit more to do this time around, as he serves as the temporary leader of the animatronics without Fredbear around, and we see some of the struggles he goes through being in charge of everything. This is particularly highlighted in the argument he has with Chica about not being able to go look for Fredbear. It's not because he dislikes the idea, but he also wants to protect as many of his friends as possible. It illustrates the hard choices he has to make as leader and why he ultimately decides to give it up. Bulbit was also an important decision for me, giving Funtime Foxy another dynamic in the form of a sister, and I think the concept of found family in general is pretty epically wholesome. Going back to Fredbear, he is very angry in this season, as evidenced by his shorter temper, and you can tell he has low patience for certain people, like Funtime Freddy. It's clear that despite killing Shadow Freddy, Fredbear is still haunted by Spring Bonnie's death. It pushed much of his motivation during Season 2, and now he's somewhat aimless. He doesn't really know what to do with himself apart from trying to escape the underground with these new Funtime animatronics. I wanted him to gradually decline, and as time went on, it would seem like he would become Shadow Freddy. But then he meets a resurrected puppet, and that battle kind of helps him understand what's going on with him, and that his own lack of confidence is making him slip, along with his anger. What brings him back from the darkness is the love he feels for his brother, illustrated in the beautiful scene animated by Fazbear Films in Episode 8. He's finally able to let go to an extent, and that gives him the strength to get back up and overpower Ennard, using love as his greatest weapon. I think it's the most powerful stuff in the season by far out of everything. With the writing being finalized, it was finally time to lay down looks for the characters, and I began work immediately. The original characters were the easiest to nail. They were FNAF 1, obviously, that much was clear, and the toys were still the toys, apart from a few overhauls for some of the models, and the fun times were also pretty easy. Honestly, the primary challenge was getting down the look for Fredbear this time around. I spent a few months workshopping designs privately. While I didn't lay down any sketches or concept art, as I am not talented enough of a drawer, I fiddled with Fredbear's model to get the look I was going for, eventually resting on the damage that he has now. But something was still missing. I was unsure for a while until I came across a special texture pack I had never seen before in the Steam Workshop, and then after applying the texture to Fredbear, everything clicked into place, and I knew I had found his new look. Fun fact, if you want to see what Fredbear's design would have been, you can check out this whole thing. Pretty fun, right? But if you're lazy, here's some pictures comparing the look. They were pretty consistent minus the textures. The only other challenge was giving Puppet his Ennard look. I had to figure something out when it came to what he was going to look like, and for a while I had looked into a skinnier model for him, something that I immediately traded out in favor of his current look. Logically too, it was a natural upgrade for him. His old body was too frail for him to actually engage in combat, so this new body helped to give him some more meat on his bones, so to speak. Once the looks were down, it was finally time to start the most challenging part. Season 3's production began only a short 2 months after the end of Ultimatum. However, we were already encountering plenty of issues. Part of the reason that Ultimatum took so long, and by extension the Season 3 premiere took so long, was mainly due to some of the voice actors taking longer than I would prefer to get their lines done. This has been a consistent issue for much of the season, unfortunately, and is something I'm going to work to change for Season 4, so we can get the episodes out at a more consistent rate. Animation itself was something else entirely. A mix of pleasure and, well, pain. Lots of pain. Motivation was in a flux for me between feeling energized to work and not really caring much for it. That was related mainly to outside factors, but it definitely made certain episodes a bit more taxing to work on, specifically episodes 7 and 8. The only fight-heavy episodes in the entire season, mind you. Some of the behind-the-scenes we did for some of these episodes is pretty crazy, and that is the magic of SFM and perspective. Despite these challenges, we soon entered a comfortable development cycle of around 3 months or so per episode, comprising all the factors we needed to make the season. Of course, when you're working with SFM specifically, you're going to run into a lot of goofs and errors, and we had quite a few. Here's some footage from some of the episodes outside of the camera, along with some screenshots showing hidden details and little errors we had to work through.
Mango?
That's what I was told. I'm not sure what triggered it, but it's out pretty hard. Bonnie, are you okay?
No, not really. I got a serious headache.
Yarg, what happened to you, lad? Your toy Chica said you passed out in the hole.
I don't know, but that man,
What about him?
I can't put my finger on it, but I don't like the look of him. There's something eerie about him, something familiar.
What is that supposed to be?
You think I know? I'm just as confused as you are about this.
It's best you keep your distance from that man for the time being. No, let's get you on your feet.
recommend yourself?
Hi, Snoopy Poo Girls.
No, recommending yourself.
You're at 2 health, huh?
I'm building, 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 I'm building.
What's all the commotion?
Wait, that's...
I just wanted to spend some time with you.
I don't know. Yzma's in your chair, right?
Very good, Krong. Here, get the snack.
Got it! Huh?
Oh, Bonnie, will you be the Burger King to my Burger Queen?
Bye-bye!
Oh, Bonnie, will you be the Burger King to my Burger Queen?
Midway through Season 3's production, we got 2 people added to the team that were instrumental in evolving the series even further. Aaron SFM, aka Map Guy, and Alejandro the Cheese Man. These two contributed some of the coolest shit I've had the pleasure to use. Aaron is called Map Guy because that was exactly what he did. He made a custom map to combine the main FNAF 1 pizzeria with a custom basement. We no longer had to do separate sessions for these things, making the transitions easier. Cheeseman, on the other hand, delivered the excitement of custom models. Fazbear had been doing some small modeling, but Cheeseman was the one that helped push him to start making more custom models for the series specifically. They together are responsible for giving us custom models for the originals and toy characters, overhauling some textures and enhancing their quality. Before, we had to manually apply Fredbear's damage and textures, which was very tedious and repetitive. But with Cheeseman, boom, we had just made a model for it. This was especially helpful when it came to giving Fredbear one of his coolest features, his energy hands, aka his battle mode. The main model is courtesy of Fazbear, with a secondary model created by Cheeseman, and we have plenty of test renders to share of that as well. Cheeseman also made a custom Fredbear model for his FNAF 1 appearance, keeping his endoskeleton consistent apart from the hands. I guarantee that we will only continue to keep making awesome custom models to really help this series distinguish itself from the others that are out there. I owe a lot to Cheeseman and Map Guy, so I want to personally extend my thanks through this video. I look forward to continuing to work with you. like any big project, there's bound to be cut concepts. Some of the scrapped content is pretty standard stuff, such as lines being cut because voice actors forgot to record them, or wanting to improvise upon the source material to an extent, and thus deviating from the original script. Two of the biggest cut ideas was a dinner date inspired idea involving Foxy and Mangle in episode 5. That would have been set up over the course of some of the other episodes, and it would have preceded her panic attack that would have remained the same. Personally, I wanted to change this idea because it felt too cliche, and would have been a shallow way to make them officially get together. So as of now, they are still just like really, really close platonic friends. The other cut concept was an entire scrapped episode, which would have brought the total for season 3 to 11 episodes. But tonally, it didn't make any sense, nor did it fit, and I decided to scrap it. I don't know if I want to say what it was, but it did have Bonnie and Fanta and Foxy as a central focus to the plot. This episode would have preceded what is now episode 10. As of now, there's not much else in the realm of cut content apart from different models that would have been the look for the original animatronics, that I decided against due to growing out of those models. I didn't even look at the Splinks models. I get they're nostalgic, but they're just kind of ugly to me. I dislike them, especially in a series meant to be more visually accurate to the FNAF aesthetic. One very interesting piece of scrapped content, actually, was a series of teasers I had planned to develop to build up to Season 3's release. Specifically, a series of FNAF VHS-style teasers that showcased the creation of some of the fun times, and how the puppet, who of course was still unknown to be alive at the time, would have been pulling the strings in the background. Definitely an interesting concept, and I am a little disappointed that I was never able to go through with it. One final thing I want to touch on is personal stuff. As you know, in April of last year, my brother passed away. It was an unexpected and hard time for my family and I, and we're still recovering. It did a few things for me that I wasn't expecting. For one thing, it made me relate more to my own characters, specifically Fredbear. I could more so understand him, which I know is weird to say, but that's just how it made me feel, I suppose. I knew since my brother passed, I wanted to dedicate his memory to at least one of my episodes, and I knew that episode 8 was perfect. The script had already been written, but with my personal loss now in hindsight, I had gone in and rewrote some things, added new lines, and was overall able to add a personal touch to the sequence. As of right now, the exchange between Fredbear and Spring Bonnie in that episode is my favorite sequence to date of the entire series. Despite being robots, they feel more human than ever, which I think leads to a beautiful sequence. Well, we've made it to the end. I don't know about you, but I think I'm ready to wrap things up. First of all, I want to give a very big thank you to my entire team. I value your loyalty and commitment to this project, and I look forward to continuing to work with you in the future, as colleagues and friends. I want to thank you, the audience, for being patient enough to wait every few months for a new episode for the last 2 years. Your dedication is much appreciated, and I have enjoyed getting to continue sharing my story and vision with you all. Now we have some announcements for those epic enough to stick around through the end. First, I'll just get it out of the way. Season 4 is greenlit, and it is happening after my vacation. The story's not done yet. I posted a teaser for it on a community post a while back, so I'm sure you know where things are going. Also, we have another exciting development. Starting in Season 3, you might have noticed that some of the music was something that couldn't be found by a simple YouTube search. Well, that's because some of the music was part of an original soundtrack, courtesy of Fazbear Films. At the time this video drops, I will be releasing the original soundtrack for not just Season 3, but also for a track from Season 2 that was used briefly. For those who are worried about this soundtrack being only YouTube exclusive, I am pleased to announce that the soundtracks have also been released on Apple Music and Spotify, so you can add it to your own playlists and just go crazy with that. Finally, the most exciting announcement I have is another project that will be releasing in tandem with Season 4. I'm sure you recall that a few years back, I did a remake of the first episode of Season 1. By comparison, it is not the greatest remake, and so now I am dedicating time to doing a full overhaul of the first season. A revamp, if you will. This includes reworking the scripts, expanding the lore, reanimating every episode with the help of my team, and adding some new episodes as well to make Season 1 a more complete experience. Here's a first look at Fredbear's new look for the season, and a peek at some promotional material. This will be released in between Season 4 episodes, and will be ongoing until the revamp is finished, and we can focus entirely on Season 4. With all of that out of the way, I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for a nice vacation. You take care, gamers, and I look forward to seeing you guys around in the future.